Welcome to this episode of Diverse Talk Matters.
To talk about different things around diversity, equity, and inclusion, talk about things that people may find challenges with, so we hope you find them really useful. Some are around people's different lived experiences, some really challenging conversation, things that sometimes we don't need to talk about. But we really hope you enjoy the range of topics that we are introducing to you or bringing to you, to your homes, to your house, your workplaces. Hello everyone, and welcome to this next episode of Diverse Talk Matters. And today we are talking all things around women's equality. For those of you who are listening or watching, and maybe watching later on, it is March 2026 and we're in the middle, or coming towards the end of Women's Equality Month. And I've got the wonderful Sandra here, Sandra Pollock OBE, who is going to be talking to us about the Women's Awards, which we'll talk about. And also we're going to dig deep into, just talking about women, how brilliant and powerful we are, but also the challenges that we often face on a day-to-day. So welcome, Sandra.
It's lovely to be here, Natasha. Thanks for inviting me. And I know
it's a long time coming, isn't it? We keep saying we're going to do this. So tell us, for those who don't know about yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you've done and how you've come to us today.
Yeah, well, I always like to start out with actually reminding people that although I do an awful lot in diversity and women's development, actually I am a leadership specialist. Leadership is my area of specialism and my passion. Anything to do with people development is something that really excites me and gets me going. So I do run my own consultancy, Open Mind Training and Development, which does what it says on the can, as it were. And I've been doing that, I guess, from as far back as I can remember. I won't talk about how old I am now. That would be a bit rude. But 30 plus years, I have been working in the leadership management, people development arena. That includes aspects of HR, just anything to do with bringing the best out of people and helping organizations, medium-sized and larger organizations, to focus on how do they create an environment to help people achieve their best, and how do they lead in a way that supports their own development as leaders, but also helping them to create that supportive environment where they can achieve their strategic objectives for the organization. So that's really where I start. My women's work, we'll talk about that. As you mentioned, I'm founder of the Women's Awards, and I do a lot of community work with the police in the area that I live with. Yeah, lots of hats I wear.
Lovely. And we're on for those listeners or watchers, Sandra's going to be back talking all things leadership as well very soon.
Yes.
So why, tell us a bit of story about the Women's Awards. Tell us about why you created it, when did it all start?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it started this year, Natasha, is 10 years of the
Women's Awards.
10 years. I'm one of these people that I believe that life, when you see something that you either like or you don't like, life gives you the opportunity to decide what you want to do about it. So in my growing up, first, for me, this whole concept about women's gender equality started from my childhood. I remember, I'm showing my age with this one. We used to watch cowboy and Indian movies and stuff like that. Don't you remember that? And I remember, I was around, 6, 7. And I really got annoyed with these cowboy and Indian films because the woman people would be running away. It was always the woman that fell down. And I was like, I wouldn't fall down. I'm a child. I'm like, I wouldn't be falling down. I'd be running. And one day I said to my auntie, why does the woman always fall down? Why can she never do anything for herself? Those sorts of things. And her response was, well, without that, nothing would happen. I didn't understand what she was talking about then. Got an idea as I got older. But just to show you that my whole idea of the lack of equality between the genders, I picked that up from very young. Then as I saw how women were regarded as I grew up, my My mother, for example, very smart woman, she's passed now. My aunties, very smart. They were the ones who were thinking of what businesses to start, what would be, profitable, how to do this, how to do that. But whenever they raised those ideas, they would always get knocked down by the males. Why? Only because the men didn't think of the idea. So again, this was coming to my awareness. And then my own career journey, there were so many times when I was asked to do tasks that were way above my pay grade for directors when I was like 3 or 4 levels below the director. But my name wasn't attached to it. I wasn't getting the money. And in many cases, people would take my ideas and put their name on it and, I could tell you the story. So that those were the things that I saw and experienced. And as I started working, then I realized and other women were experiencing these things as well. So obviously this is like a burning thing that's gradually growing and growing and growing in my awareness and in my head. And 2016, I will admit, I went to an event and they were recognizing women there. And at the time I thought, why doesn't something like that exist in my area, which is the East Midlands? And so I think that was in May, I went to an event. No. Yes, it was in May. And by September, October, I was putting my first women's awards. It was called the East Midlands Women's Awards at the time. And so it started there because, in the work that I do, I support men and women. I support, boards and senior level teams. And sometimes they would say, well, we can't find women that do this and we can't find women.
I tell you, when I hear that, it's so frustrating.
I'm like, and where exactly are you looking?
Yeah, exactly. Not very hard, that's for certain.
Not very hard and not in the right places. And I would tell them that.
Exactly.
So the Women's Awards, Natasha, is my protest to all of that. Because you can protest in lots of different ways. You can have placards, you can shout at people, you can do all of that. But what I wanted to do was to create a space, a community where successful, high-achieving women can be found. And so the idea for the Women's Awards as a place where, as I say, high-achieving women can be found, their accomplishments can be seen and recognized, but also they can receive the recognition and the accolades that they well deserve. So that's the foundation of it. And, I continue to do this challenging work, for the last 10 years.
Lovely. And again, that sort of would hopefully then negate any of the sort of stereotypes and show those people who are going, I can't find anyone. Well, there's a room full right here.
Yes. And so the Women's Awards supports from grassroots to C-suite and across all sectors and across all communities. So there are no excuses that you can't find somebody.
Exactly. Absolutely. And it's a great event in terms of networking as well. People want to come along as a guest to hear about and see all the wonderful women that are winning and what the work they've done. Again, it's a great opportunity to see and network with those people. So you said it's a brilliant 10 years of Women's Award. What's been the highlight for you?
Oh, goodness. That every year is the highlight.
After all the hard work you do when it's all done.
Every year. And the reason I say that is because every single year, obviously in the early days, obviously there are people that I would probably know. Some of the people I don't judge, so I can't be held responsible for anyone else. I say that. But I would know some of these names. Now, 10 years later, I very seldom recognize the names because you're getting new people in. That is the highlight for me. Believe it or not, in lots of ways where other people nominate. So people are looking around and seeing women who are doing amazing things. And as a way to give recognition to that, they're nominating them. And winners are nominating their friends. Previous nominees are nominating other people that they hear about. So the highlight is the growth, if that makes sense. That it is well respected, fingers and toes crossed that that will continue to be. But it is highly regarded. And so having achieved that is an overall highlight for me.
Brilliant, lovely. And all the wonderful women that have passed through those 10 years, what have you seen as the impact on them after they win? Are they feeling seen, heard? What have you seen?
This is how I present it to women to encourage them to get involved because of the impact. So if you get nominated, it really impacts on you because you realize that you are being seen by somebody. Okay, you may or may not know the person, but for the person to nominate you, that is. And I've seen women sort of step back and look at themselves and think, oh, wow, I really have to recheck myself about how I see myself because of how this person who's nominated me is seeing me or has seen me. And then if then they get shortlisted, then again, it's that, wow, am I really that good? Some of them.
Yeah.
And then if you're fortunate enough to win, and at each of those levels, I have seen confidence grow, self-belief grow, recognition of oneself grow, but also recognition from other people.
Yeah.
Because when you are nominated, we send you a little image to say, congratulations, you've been nominated. You get shortlisted, you get a different one. And if people, and we try and encourage people to share this on their email signature, on their social media. And then I have heard women time and time again say that even in their working environment, people begin to look at them differently.
Okay.
So,
Brilliant.
It's personal and it's social and cultural as well in terms of how women see themselves. Their confidence grows, their belief in themselves grows, the impact. And I've seen that impact on women's careers. There's so many of our nominees, shortlisted people and winners who have gotten new jobs, higher positions, paying more for them, that recognition, and also the boldness that they then have to go for these jobs. And also women who run their own business. I remember Karen Curitan was a winner. I don't recall which year, but she runs her own business, social media business. And she said after she won, she applied to work with an organization. And then she had the meeting. She said she went in and the owner, this man, said to her, well, why should I work with you? And she went through some of the other reasons. And then she ended with, and because I am a winner of whatever. And she got the job and her business has grown.
Yes.
And that is just so many other women, whether it's their career progression or their business growth, because they have so much confidence, they can step out more boldly. And I think the fact that it is a prestigious award, there are judges, there's a panel of judges. As I said before, I don't judge. So it is not, oh, let's vote. And I know more people than you, so I get more people to vote. I'm not criticizing that as an avenue, but what I'm saying, because of the way the Women's Awards is run, the confidence that you get and the way people see it really does help to expand people's own self-worth.
That's brilliant. And where are we at with the awards at the moment? Is it still open for nominations if anybody wants to find out more?
Yes. So if you want to find out more, go to www.thewomens with an S awards with an S.com. And if you go to nominations page, you can see all the 14 categories and the different regions you can nominate in. And the closing for nominations is the 30th of June this year. And
lovely. So we've got a good couple of months, haven't they?
Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So if you're listening later This is
Yes.
June 2026, everyone. We need to
Yeah.
make sure you're getting the voting by then. Lovely. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to say about the Women's Award before we delve into more broader issues about women and why things, the Women's Award is so important? We're going to talk
Yeah.
about some of the great things about women, but also the challenges.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is that obviously every year we put this on. It's under the organization of Shine Together, which is a CIC, a social enterprise, and it is self-funding. We say self-funding. We rely on sponsors and champions and also individuals who might want to just get involved. So what we do need is that sponsorship support. So please drop me an email at admin at the Women's Awards, and I will be happy to have a conversation with anyone who's interested in sponsoring. I mean, this year, I'm sure we'll get onto this, the International Women's Day theme is Give to Gain. So this would be a really good opportunity to give in order to gain. And it's more than gaining. What are we gaining? We are gaining that recognition that you as a business or organization support women's development and want to be a part of this growing movement of change, progression, and female development. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much. So for everybody, go and have a good look at the Women's Awards. You can look at previous picks, who won, what's happened, and have a little look. Fabulous.
So I'm gonna, before
Well,
we do that, I'm gonna be
yeah.
cheeky because I noticed that you've not said anything about the fact that you did win.
You know me, I don't like to sort of be bigging myself up. But yes, I was honoured to win an award. Was it 2 years ago now? Was it
Yeah.
2024?
Yeah.
Yes, and I was honoured to be nominated. And when I won, I was like, what? Yes, I was very shocked. But at the same time, I was at an event recently around Black women. And it was really interesting because they were saying, as women, we need to pump up our chest and be proud of when you do something. But often we don't. We're more like,
don't.
oh, God. I really do not like talking about my achievements at all. And we should. And why shouldn't we? Because often other people would, or people from, the other sex don't want to be sort of negative. But we don't promote ourselves enough often. And so I was honoured. It was a fabulous night.
I think the reason that we as women struggle with that is sometimes the wording that we use.
Yeah.
Because if we say we are promoting ourselves, that has a really negative connotation, especially in the commercial aspect. But if we say we are sharing information about our achievements, that has a softer feel to it. You know what I mean? So I think that we sometimes can be our worst enemies by not recognizing the words we choose. And, you get to a point, and we'll probably talk about this in the leadership session we do, but we get to the point as we progress, we work hard, we achieve different things. We get to a point where it fails to be about us alone anymore.
Yeah.
So we have a responsibility to the generations to come, but also to our peers who are fighting the good fight for recognition. And if we don't share with them our achievements, then how do they get motivated and encouraged?
Yeah, and it's sort of about the role model, isn't it? Is it?
Yes.
If I can't see it, I can't be it type of thing,
Absolutely.
isn't it? And I think
how
it's absolutely correct.
How are they going to see it if we, in our current roles, current positions, don't step forward? We're always waiting for somebody else to step forward. Well, actually, we need to do it.
No, absolutely. And sort of similar aside, I haven't seen Louis Theroux's documentary that was on around Manosphere, where people, I've got to watch it. I've seen clips of talking about, some misogyny, God, if you can imagine. And one of the things he said was apparently, well, where are all the women who have done things in the world? You think, come on. One, that's very ignorant. But again, this is why it is important for us to talk about, because for many people, they probably don't know about. I mean, women have invented things around the GPS, around surgery, around, IT, internet, you name it.
Yeah,
But yet, often people are unaware of we wouldn't be where we are in society without the things that women have done. So
absolutely.
we should, and again, you're right, we should, and even if you are proud and sort of thing, we should do it anyway
I
because
do it anyway. It's the only
everybody,
way.
yeah, because everybody, for example, who gets nominated or at least gets shortlisted and wins one, we've all worked hard. We didn't get here yesterday.
Yes,
But,
absolutely. There are years of
there's a lot of
working.
work went into that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. So, on that, what would you say around, the current reality of women's society? What excites you most, but what also, we might talk a little about it, what concerns you?
I guess what excites me most is, believe it or not, the fact that these conversations are being held and had
Okay.
by both men and women.
Yes.
That excites me most because if you think about it, if men are prepared to talk about the inequalities that women experience,
Yeah.
they're going to be talking to their peers, they're going to be talking to other males. And, a part of this is for men to change the narrative.
Yes.
We can't do it by ourselves
Yeah.
because other words will be in a little pocket on our own and men will be in a pocket on their own and never the
Yeah.
two shall come together. So that excites me, although there's still a ways to go, definitely, but we are having conversations, and in some of the best workplaces, people are talking about menopause, people are talking about
Yeah.
menstruation and periods and the
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah.
And this isn't just women in a corner talking,
Yeah.
men and women are talking, because believe it or not, if you live with a woman, whether she's your child, your sister, your mother,
Mm.
your daughter, your wife, her life experience is going to impact on you. I don't care what you think about it. It's
Yeah.
impacting on you. You can pretend it isn't, but
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. So that
Absolutely.
conversation, that whole conversation is very positive.
Hmm.
It's widened out into the community,
Yeah.
it's widened out into the commercial sectors. So that is a good thing.
Yeah.
The
I
other
mean,
half of your
sorry, go on, you go,
sorry,
Sandra.
I was going to say the other half of your question about what still concerns me is that there is a sector that still feeling that they deserve everything they want without making any effort, and it's women's
Hmm.
faults that they don't have it. So that, and there are some loud voices
Yeah.
in that sector.
Yeah.
And there are also, if we look at some of the more international decisions that have been made
Yeah.
over
Oh
the pond
gosh.
and other places,
Yeah.
we have what I would refer to as very insecure males
Hmm.
deciding that they want to go backwards.
Hmm.
And obviously, here in the UK where we are, we have to be aware. And I was going to say
Definitely.
on guard, but just aware, and to make sure that we
Yeah.
do what we can to not allow those negative ideas to
Absolutely.
promulgate here.
Because there are some parties, aren't they? Well, one in particular who are trying to, if they get in, penalise people for not having children and things like that. You're like, what are we? And I know on the other side of the world, it's like Handmaid's Tale in real life, and you think, wow,
Yes. Yeah.
when there's
Yes.
anything, isn't it though? You think, is this reality or is this something I've just seen on the TV? And
Mm.
on what you were saying as well about menopause, brilliant, absolutely. Even probably 5 years ago, yeah, but 5 10, we weren't talking about
Yeah.
menstruation, we weren't talking about even things around baby loss, miscarriage is a lot
Yeah.
more awareness now,
Yeah.
I'd say, in the workplace, which would not have been discussed. And people had to be going through all these awful situations, things about IVF, adoption, they're really much more out in the ether now. But people would have to do that and
Yeah.
then feel they could talk
Yeah.
about it. So that is, progression in that sense that, that at least they're being raised, and I
Yes.
totally 100% back you in terms of it's not just women
Mm.
alone. I always say this, and
It's
I'm sure
not.
you said the same, any form of activism you're doing, It's not just the people,
Yes,
it's people have got to support it. And
absolutely.
yeah, and I remember when I was the head of D&I and we did some sessions on menopause and menstruation. We're like, and men come along, and they were a lot of men were the
Yes,
ones who contacted me after and went, "Oh, that was so useful. I can be more helpful to my partner now, or to my wife, or whatever,
yes,
you know." So
yes.
absolutely, that is a real positive. Also now with with the Employment Act and they're looking at menopause
Mhm.
action plans and things like that. We're going in
Yeah,
the right direction. So like you said, let's not
absolutely.
hope it doesn't go back any further. You think, please no, no.
And I don't know if you've probably seen them. You get some of those videos on social media where men wear these pregnancy packs, or
Oh, that's
they
about two
they
seconds.
or they have the I can't remember what you call them, but they put these sensors on them and they can feel the pain
Yeah,
of going
yeah,
through periods and stuff. And that sort of stuff is a real eye opener for
yeah,
men to
yeah.
really understand what women go through day in and day out, month in
Women are
and month out.
strong. We're strong.
Are we
Absolutely.
though? Are we strong, or is it that we have had to deal with it? There is a difference.
Yeah. I
Because
think a
if
bit
you
of both,
don't,
because I think for women have to go through because of the challenges and we've mentioned today to get where you are and this could be to any level because everybody's got
mm,
different levels of where they want to get to and different what they want to do in life. And I think because there's always going to be some sort of barrier
yeah,
or challenge.
yeah,
It's not going to be plain sailing. And sometimes when we do training, and I'm sure you've seen this, you see that. And again, we're not anti-men. We love men. It's about working in
mm,
unity. But there's a picture, there's a cartoon. There's a guy running a race, and there's like he's going hurdle.
yeah,
No, there's nothing there. I think it might be even a hurdle, and then there's a woman, and there's all these different things in the way, and they're like,
yes,
"Well,
hurdles,
what's
pushes,
your
carrying
problem?"
stuff, and
Yeah.
yes,
So there is a difference. So I think a bit of both, a bit of both. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Um,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
in terms of, oh, go on, you're going to say something before
No, no, no.
I,
I was just going to say
yeah.
that, when I was growing up, my periods were so bad that for 7 days I was completely out.
Wow.
So impact school, impact social life, impact, and what do you do? Because nobody's interested in
Yeah.
helping you. So you have to find a way to get through it.
Yeah.
And then obviously when I was able to take painkillers, I'd be on painkillers for at least a week or more,
Yeah.
just so that I could get through the day.
Wow. And even when you then talk about later on, I mean, if the fact that some girls might have to, young women have to miss school because of those sort of things. And
Yeah.
I was on a session actually last year. It was really interesting. And I do get the school, but they were saying her daughter had really heavy periods, really
Mhm.
struggled. And she was not allowed to leave the classroom to go and change, you know what I mean, or sort
No,
herself out. And it's like, wow, and they knew that she had, and I think, come on, it's all
that's
I get in a school, you don't
that's
want kids out every
inhumane.
2 minutes, but that's a genuine reason. Come on.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that those sort of things people don't think about. And then even when it
Mm.
comes to, if anybody chooses, because not everybody wants children, but or everybody can have children, but if you are lucky to have children, and then you get this whole thing about the motherhood penalty. The fact is,
Mm.
you're not,
Yeah.
you can't help if you're off on maternity leave. You want to spend time with your precious baby.
Yes.
And I know that people can, your partner can take the time off, but often if you're in an opposite sex relationship, the male partner does not, even if they're only.
Hmm.
So we're still not there yet in terms of
No, no.
addressing that, even though it is possible. So do you
Yeah.
think, bearing what we said, do you think it is harder for women to get equal recognition broadly?
Yes. Yes. In a short answer to that, I think
Yeah,
it is, and for all the reasons that we have been talking about,
yeah,
because the experience of women is not accepted or
hmm,
recognized as normal, natural, and unavoidable that's a generalization. People
yeah,
nowadays have got more choices with some things. So the male standard, even if you do some research, you'll see that the male circadian rhythm, forgive me if I'm using the wrong term, is 24 hours.
Yeah.
The female is 26, 27 days.
Yeah.
So because her body is going through such change,
Yeah.
almost on a daily basis. So the recognition, the acceptance that women are not men and men are not women is one of the reasons why it is hard, because it still remains that the majority of the decision makers are male.
Yeah.
And they have, this is probably going to upset some, this generalization, most have a wife or a partner that's at home cleaning the house, cooking the food, sorting their clothes out, looking after the children, doing the shopping, and all the other many things that women do. And this is, women do it whether they also go out to work or not. There is still that expectation that women are going to carry that burden. Plus, women also carry the emotional burden.
Yeah.
You know, if people are upset, then we have this natural part of us that wants to assist and sort out. That has been weaponized. That has been weaponized in against women, although it's a natural part of our way of being. Women are not men and men are not women. Men have different things that they bring to the table. Women bring different things to the table. But in the main, the things, and this is a generalization, not every woman operates in the same way. Not every man operates in the same way. But the natural attributes of women have been weaponized against them to keep them down, to keep them subservient. And until that is recognized, and until the contribution that women make is recognized and valued and validated, it's going to be difficult for women to progress, because as you were just saying, you know, we've got so much to carry where men don't, generalization, nobody shoot me, in you know, have less to carry.
Yeah. And I remember, and like I was saying, so I know, we're not general, you know, we are giving an overview, but in the majority of cases, if you did the research, we're not saying there's not brilliant men who do loads of stuff.
I'm married to one.
With looking after the children, with being a brilliant parent, with all the things. And the same for women. Some women are there, you know, doing all different manner of things. But what I found really, I don't remember in COVID, where, oh my gosh, women who were in opposite sex relationships, you know, they could both be working full time at home, but it came out even again then about actually the weight on the woman was much more in terms of helping the kids with schoolwork, dreaded work, you know, doing the whole work from teaching from home, then having to work, cook, all that. So the weight was even exacerbated then, and that was, you know, that was seen in many households. Like I said, even though we know there's lots of people out there who that may not have been the case. In some relationships, it's the man, if you're an opposite, he was doing all of it. But we're talking more broad with that. So, okay. So what are the challenges, you know, in terms of leadership then? So what do you see? I know you do a lot. So Sandra and I will be talking about leadership in more depth. And we know you do a lot of work around women in leadership. So what do you see as the challenges around women in leadership?
It comes back to, and again, this is why I started the Women's Awards, it comes back to women being, their contribution being recognized in the same way that the contribution of men is recognized. For some reason, a man and a woman could do exactly the same thing. For some reason, in the environment that we exist in humanity at this point, particularly in the Western world, the male contribution is given more value. Oh, he must have worked so much harder. Oh, he's so much brighter. He's much more intelligent. Oh, look at all of this. Whereas she's done exactly the same. In some cases, even better. But who's making the decisions about value?
And I think this is where I remember I worked in an organisation, and they would scrutinise, and I thought brilliant. They would, when there were promotions and opportunities, there was actually a group of people who would scrutinise those decisions to see, were they fair? Have people been
Yeah.
missed out?
Yeah.
Because often it might be the loudest voices, who, like you said,
Hmm.
who's making that decision. There could be some brilliant people out there, often women, not always, but often women, who have been overlooked just because they're not shouting the loudest as well. So,
Absolutely.
for anybody out
Or
there, yeah, go on.
or they don't have the sponsors, they don't have those, then
Yeah,
they don't have the connection with the high level decision makers, who they don't have someone at those levels
yeah,
to shout for them, to recognize and to bring them in. They don't have the mentoring, they don't have then the sponsoring, because mentoring and sponsoring are different.
yeah, yeah,
They don't have people to open the doors for them. They don't have people speaking positively for them when they're not in the room. And going back to how women can help themselves, we don't shout. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I always talk about my husband because our relationship is a brilliant example of how women and men can work together. So he's outside doing something on the car at the moment. And he will, if I go downstairs now, he will tell me every little detail that he has done since I last saw him. I have moved this box. I have every little detail. It is like, I don't want to know that much detail, but
yeah,
no, I've got to tell you is what's going on in his head,
yeah,
because he
yeah,
can't
yeah,
stop talking. He's going to still tell, yeah, and I've decided to do this because this will make better sense in that. And I've, taken the dog out for a walk, and I've fed the cat, and I've washed up every single thing that he has done, he will tell me. That's where we miss out. Because we
yeah,
go back to this concept that we have been led to believe that to share what you have been doing, you're promoting yourself.
yeah,
Well, in a way you are. And if you don't promote yourself, who's going to?
yeah,
If you don't
yeah,
tell people what you've been involved with, whether it's in the working environment or whether it's in the wider society, the community that you're doing, they won't know, because all of those things equip you with different skills,
yeah,
different levels of communication and understanding and all. How are they going to know?
yeah.
They're
No, it's
not.
true. It's true. And
So that
you-
that hinders our progression,
yeah,
because people don't know about our capability.
yeah, no, yeah, I hear you. And I was just looking at a few stats the other day, because if people think we're bashing people in the, because sometimes I like to give the evidence, because people will say, oh, you're sitting there moaning, and no, the evidence stands for itself in terms of
Yeah.
how women are. There's lots of brilliant people out there, but they're not always getting the recognition. And I was reading about the gender pay gap, which,
Mm,
organisations out there. I wonder about the gender pay gap, how much people are truly doing. And that's another question, because organisations of people out there may know who've got over 250 employees, still good
mm,
practice for those less than 250, obviously, should be looking at gender pay gaps. And I've spoken to so many organisations, and they'll have their little chart, they'll have their plan, this is what the difference is. And then I don't know if they're really looking at the structural barriers to actually really make a difference.
absolutely. That's the next level.
Yeah,
Um, and as human beings, we don't tend to move unless we are persuaded that it is beneficial to us.
yeah,
So, and this is where this conversation about whether it should become manual, you have to do it.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, at higher levels
Mandatory,
you
yeah,
do. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
mandatory, that's the word I'm
yeah, yeah,
looking
yeah,
for. Whether it should be mandatory for every organization,
yeah,
and until your organization gets to a certain
yeah.
level,
Exactly.
you don't have a requirement to do it,
Yeah,
because it really doesn't bother you.
yeah. No,
And
honestly, that's it.
yeah. And also, when it gets to the point where you have to make that public, then other questions are gonna, like,
Yeah,
yeah, okay, that's great. What else are you doing? And what's the structural
yeah.
setup? And those sorts of things.
That's what
And
needs to happen.
also, people decision makers, and it's a generalization, but decision makers think about, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it's always about the budget.
Mm.
So if I declare that John's getting 25p and Sally's getting 15, I'm going to be held accountable. Our budgets are going to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And I have to answer to the board or whoever,
Yeah.
your stakeholders are. And it's always that. But I think that should be twisted around, because we know, we just talk about human beings. If they are appreciated, if they are valued, if they are paid for their worth, genuinely, they tend to give you more than you ask for.
Exactly. You're going to get it back in shed loads,
Absolutely.
I was looking at these figures. Go on.
I always say that until we get to the level of psychological safety where people feel heard, seen, they can challenge ideas, they can make suggestions, they can talk about failures without being...
Yes.
Until all of that happens, you don't actually get into the creativity or the innovation that an individual is able to give you.
No, definitely.
That's beyond pay. That's beyond benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you know, when anyone who's treated fairly and is supported and seen their value, they give 110%. So if, many women and men work part-time, but more women work part-time, we're not working part-time. And
you're doing the same amount of work in less hours. That's what it is.
So that's even, and when you look at it that way, your pay is even less. So it's got here in 2025, the UK gender pay cap for full-time employees was 6.9. But when including all workers, full and part-time, it was about 12.8%. So women are roughly earning 87p for every pound by men. And some sectors have even larger gaps, 27% in finance and insurance. Yeah. And women are 50% less likely than men, more likely than men rather, to be in low paid work. So, it's got around 2.8 million women are paid below the living wage compared to 1.8. So, the million less men. And like I said earlier about the motherhood penalty, women's earnings dropped by,
career penalty,
42%.
Oh.
Within 5 years of having children on average. You're like, whoa, and it is a penalty, isn't it? Because
it is a penalty for bringing human beings into this world. And there's that question, well, is equality still important, and is gender equality still important, and are these things because currently, I know people would like to change this, but currently the only avenue for human beings is through a female.
Yeah.
So what do you mean, is it still important?
Yeah. No, honestly, but sometimes when I read the hard facts, you can't argue with that. At the end of the day,
you can't.
Make those changes. Anybody out there who's listening who has in a leadership or has the power to look at this, please do. Don't just do your plan. Don't just do your action plan that looks really lovely. And yes, we've got this gap, and this is people might be in lower roles, like fine. But actually, what you're going to do about it? We know that you might have women in certain roles, but actually, how you're going to break that barrier, or break that glass ceiling, or somebody I know will say the concrete ceiling.
But it starts with. Okay, it starts with giving a damn. It starts with actually being prepared to put yourself in a space where you can hear other people's experiences, where you as a man can be prepared to listen to. That's the first place. Because ignorance is no excuse anymore. There's so much data out there. There are people in your organization, there are people in the community that you can sit down and listen and talk to and find out, okay, that's your experience. What would make things better for you? Information is power at the end of the day, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like I say, don't see this as And again, I probably said this in a million podcasts, it's not ticking a box, it's not tokenism. It's actually looking at the intelligence, the talent you have,
Yeah.
and not overlooking people, not overlooking women where they could give them those opportunities. Because does it have to be a full-time job?
Does
Maybe.
it?
Just,
And we both do a lot of work in leadership and diversity and stuff like that. And if I always say to leaders and managers, your responsibility is to use all of your resources as effectively as well as proper as possible. So if you've got a
yeah,
machine, you know that at some point this machine is going to need checking on, it's going to need oil, it's going to need a new ribbon, it's going to need whatever. If you don't do that, what will happen? Eventually that machine's going to break down. What
yeah,
happens when the machine breaks down? You have a stop in service or whatever the case is. So our resources, we can say, oh yeah, resources include machinery, buildings, budgets, and people. And then they get stuck at people because they will pay more attention to the machines
yeah.
than the people. And actually, the people will make your machines work better.
Yeah.
So it is, for me, I think that it is incompetent. And I will use that strong language. It's incompetent leadership where you do not work towards the goal and practically, step by step, have a plan of how you are going to bring about equality within
Yeah.
your organization, however big or small that might be.
Yeah. No,
It is
definitely.
incompetence because you are not using your resources to their best
Yeah.
and most effective abilities. And I don't think that people see that when they consider women,
Yeah.
because I'm sure I read somewhere in science that the child gets its intelligence from the woman.
Okay.
I can't remember. I'm sure. Go out there, do some research. But the intelligence I read somewhere comes from the woman. So if intelligence comes from the woman, okay. If anybody finds something that says different, let me know. I'm dyslexic. I don't remember lots and lots of details sometimes, but I
Yeah.
do remember what I've learned. And so if that is the case, we could say that the intelligent men that you're looking at came from an intelligent woman.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
why are you ignoring the source of that intelligence in terms
Yeah.
of the gender? You
Yeah.
know, and we know that women put so much into their children, into
Yeah.
their young people, whatever. Generalization, I know again, but we're talking, as you say,
Yeah.
an overall in the
Yeah.
majority.
No
But
problem.
so that is one thing. I see it as total incompetence, that you are not working on your own biases, on your own issues, to use your resources of people in the best way that you possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what about, which I haven't mentioned yet, and both of us I know do talk about this in our own work, what about the things like intersectional factors? So whether it's race, disability, social economic background, and that, how does that, if you can tell the people listening or watching how that can impact and intensify challenges for
You know,
women.
you just started talking about it and you mentioned the word intersectionality. And I saw a picture with somebody doing this. Oh my Lord, not something else again.
Yeah.
But we are all, men and women, impacted on
Yeah.
intersectionality, because the gift of being a human being means that you are not just one thing.
Yeah.
You are influenced by gender, by culture, by upbringing, by physical ability, by mental ability, by economic ability. All of these things intersect into what makes you you and how you operate. I think the difficulty is that when we start talking about things like intersectionality and we start talking about racism and gender, we start talking about all of those areas where more inclusion could be had, people automatically go to the worst end
Yeah.
of the extreme. And not that doesn't exist, but, and this was the other thing, the other point I was going to make earlier, it's come back to me. If we were to treat every person like a human being and like we would like to be treated, all of this would be done.
Yeah.
That's all it takes at the end of the day.
Mm.
How would you, if you take time to listen, what is this person's experience? What is this group's experience? It is not about agreeing with them. It's about just being open to hear, because you and I could be sisters, but our experience in the world is going to be different.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
the way human beings are
Yeah.
made. Yeah. Understanding the fullness of what intersectionality is will help you to understand how different things impact on an individual or a group's experience.
Definitely.
And so what is working? Because we assume when we talk about intersectionality, nothing's working. No, what is working for this individual? What is working for this group? Okay. And what is not? And how can we take some of the learnings from what is working into looking at how we can improve those areas where things are not working so well? So if we're thinking about it, we're talking about women learning more about the female experience. And knowing that even when you learn about Sandra's experience, that's still going to be different, slightly different to Natasha's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just understanding that, like, the different layers and the different challenges that
Yeah.
if you've got, like you said, those aspects and identities of yourselves, it might mean there's different barriers, different challenges. Sometimes we call it different layers of oppression. Anyone wants to know more? We've got a podcast just on intersectionality where we can hear about it in a lot more detail. But it's just recognizing that, you know, different women may have different experiences because of who they are. Fabulous.
Yes.
So,
And the historic experiences.
Yeah.
So if we think about Black women, they have a historic set of experiences.
Absolutely.
If we think about people with different physical abilities, I really have a problem with disabilities. There's nothing I just
Well, listen, there's a whole big debate around that, but you know, the social model of people are disabled by society and all that. Lots of people have different issues around the different types of terminology about disability. In fact, we probably do a podcast about that. Carry on.
Yeah. So the different abilities of people is how I like to frame it.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned, I have dyslexia, but it impacts me in certain ways.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop me being me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if we consider what the different abilities, people with different abilities, you know, people with health issues, people that apparently don't have any health issues, we could wake up tomorrow morning and have one that impacts. So people pretend that you're going to go through life one way all the time.
Yeah.
You're going to be in perfect health all the time. You're going to not have any issues financially all the time. You're not going to have any housing issues ever in your life all the time. That's not how humanity works. If we are here to live through different challenges.
Yeah.
And
on
we
that
will.
note as well, thinking about you can either say is my younger self or somebody else, a younger woman. And what advice would you give to somebody, a younger woman now, navigating, you know, today's social and professional challenges?
The first thing I would say is that sometimes you think you're the only person experiencing what you're experiencing, having those feelings of, you know, you don't fit in anywhere sometimes, or you'll never achieve what somebody else has achieved, and you don't know where you're going in life. This may not help, but we've all been through that. That's a part of human progress. That is a part of you. If we didn't have those things, we would sit in a puddle and not do anything. So the things that you recognize are the drivers. You've recognized it. What would you like to do about it? Okay. Sit down and plan your life. And I don't mean it's going to happen exactly, but have some sort of aspiration for yourself. And this is, what I did when I was younger, and I still do it now. So know, but more importantly, know that you are here because you have a lot to give to the world. The journey is finding out what that is, and that's the fun part of living. Sometimes it's not so fun, but
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
fun part of living. You are here. Inside you there is just so much that you are here to share with the world. So it's like an onion, and as you grow and as you go on your journey, you find out another level of yourself, and you find out, oh, I can do this, oh, I can do
Yeah.
that. So know that you are valued and you're valuable to the world. Okay? And try to think about when you think, oh, what am I going to do with my life? Think about, in this moment, what do I do that makes me happy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And focus on that. Learn what your strengths are. Strengths are a combination of things that you enjoy doing, but you do well. Sometimes there are strengths that you do well that you don't enjoy doing, but and sometimes those are the ones that people use in order to progress with their career and that sort of stuff. So find out what you do well, find out what you enjoy. If you can combine those, then that's great. But have some sort of plan and ambition for yourself, and find, whether it is training, whether it's coaching, whether it's mentoring, find ways to get you from where you are today to the point where you can do and achieve what that is.
Yeah, lovely.
And
Thank you.
there's so much on the internet, stuff that we can learn on our own as well. But also, the other thing that I would say is be aware of who you hang out with. Because if you hang out with people who are not interested in progressing, that's going to be what you become. Someone not interested in progressing.
Yeah, and it's always good to have a good collective around you. We're going to support women who support me. And sadly, there are women who don't support each other, but surround yourself with women who do support each other, do get you. You are connected, and then going to help you grow as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I run a mentoring program. There are mentoring programs where you can connect with other women who their only interest is to support you and to help you on your journey.
Yeah.
Be open, be brave, and conquer the world, because it's there for you.
Oh, I live in that. I feel like, who runs the world? Girls. Anyway. And, what gives you hope for women and girls?
Believe it or not, the younger generation gives me hope, because when I have conversations with younger women, younger men as well, do you know what? They are so not putting up with the crap that we put up with. They are so not settling for it. They are saying no earlier than we did.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should say, oh, just leave it to them. No, we should. We older women should support them, but they are like, no way. We are not putting up with this nonsense. And they're calling things out earlier and claiming themselves in this world earlier than we did.
No, it's a different, isn't it interesting how different, as the years go on and different cycles happen, you think, wow. Because it's true, things like my niece and people go, wow, you're quite hardcore. And I'd say I'm quite a forthright person, but it definitely wasn't like that, at the younger age. No, I get that. Fabulous. We've come in towards the hour now. We could be talking for hours. So,
we could.
I might do another one on, I was thinking about women and the girls and even safety and things. But anyway, we won't do that. We could probably do that in a different podcast. So I always like to ask my guests, is there anything that you want to add that you haven't had an opportunity to say today around why women's equality matters?
Oh, I think we've said quite a lot. I think it matters when from a wider and higher positioning. It matters for humankind. I really do think that if we as human beings don't mature and recognize that both genders bring what we need, we won't be here. We won't be here. If we go back to those countries when the lockdown ran, those countries who were run by women, got through it much quicker, much better
Yes.
than men, because we women naturally bring this concept of bringing people together, being able to assess the needs of multiple people all at the same time, and come up with hearing people, allowing them to speak, and coming up with joint solutions. And
Yeah.
that is what the world needs now.
Definitely now in the world. And anybody who wants to find out anything more about you, do you want to remind people of your website and information to get in touch with if you need to?
Yeah, so I have several websites. First of all, I remind you about the Women's Awards. Go to that website, www.thewomens'awards.com. You can also find me on sandrapollock.com. And I have one for my business, which is openmindcoaching.com. So,
Lovely.
drop me a
Very
line.
busy, aren't you,
I'm on
Sandra? You've
social
got
media.
lots going on.
Yes, always. And you can track me down on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Those are the main ones.
Lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sandra. This is it for now, because you are coming back to talk to us about inclusive leadership. But it's been fabulous, and I hope people have enjoyed listening to us chat and talk about how things are right now, and also but positive things for the future. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for listening. Until next time, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. Keep up to date with everything Diverse Matters and everything in the world of diversity, equity and inclusion. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn and Threads.